Okay, so the first thing you want to observe in squatting is your foot placement. You want to basically take a shoulder width stance, flare your toes out. You want to squat, knees out, and basically make sure the angle of the knee matches the angle of the toe. As you can see here, the angle of my knee matches my toe. So now I'm going to see this foot placement applied to the actual squat itself. I'm going to approach the bar, rack it up in the front squat position. So the bar is on my shoulders. I'm going to take a few steps back, flare my toes out. I'm going to squat down, and the angle of my knee will match the angle of my toe, keeping a nice upright body, head up, coming right back up. So here's a view from the side, and this will give you an idea of the kind of depth you want to take with the front squat. So I'm going to go down, and basically with the front squat you literally want to go down until you almost can't go down any further. Depth is very important. Make sure you're getting the whole posterior chain involved. If you don't go below parallel, you're basically only working your quadriceps. We want to work the entire posterior chain, the hip extensors, the back, the glutes, the hamstrings. That's why you go to full depth. And if you observe the bar path, you'll see the bar is making a straight line. My hips are going back, but if the bar were to draw an imaginary line, it would be completely straight. One of the most technical things about the front squat is the bar placement on your shoulders. Now you'll see you start with your fingertips on the bar. I'm not wrapping my hand around the bar, I'm just fingertipping it, and the entire weight of the bar is resting on my shoulders. My fingertips are only there for support. My elbows are together. Here's what happens if my elbows go out. They go down, not a good position. So I bring them together, they go up. That'll give you a good position when you get into the deep squat position. So now the second variation of the squat is the back squat. So very similar to the front squat. The only difference is the bar is resting right behind my neck on the trapezius. This is called the high bar back squat. And basically all the same mechanics apply. I'm going to keep my body as upright as possible. I'm going to go down, keep the weight in my heels. My knees are flared out, again matching the angle of the toe. Coming back up, keeping the weight in the heels throughout the movement. And here's a side view of that squat. I'm going to unrack the bar. Again, the mechanics are very similar to the front squat. Keeping my torso as upright as possible. Going into a deep squat. Far below parallel, keeping the weight in my heels. Pushing through the heels, coming back up. And again, the difference is the front squat is more quadricep dominant. The back squat involves a little more of the posterior chain, a little more lower back, a little more glute, a little more hamstring involvement. Now here I'm just going to dispel a quick myth about squatting. I've heard it said by some coaches that you're not supposed to let your knees go past your toes, that it's bad for your knees. This is actually not true. You are supposed to let your knees go past your toes. I'll show you why. I'm going to go down. Here I'm not letting my knees go past my toes, and look at my position. And now I'm going to let them go forward. I come upright again. Knees back, look at that position. Knees forward, I'm much more upright. It's not bad for the knees. You want to let your knees come past your toes. Now here's a view from behind. It's just going to show you the proper bar placement. Again, just like the front squat, it starts with proper hand placement. Make sure my hands are even so that my neck will be even. I'm going to rack the bar right on my trapezius behind my neck. Stand up with the bar. Make sure my shoulders are back and my elbows are pointed down in order to make a platform for the bar to rest on my back. And I'll just walk it back in. Next we're going to talk about the deadlift. The deadlift is basically the bar starting on the ground. You're going to approach the bar and literally just stand up with it. Grip the bar with your hand, keep it straight back, always keep your head up, and just stand up with that bar. Again, just like the squat, you want to keep your weight in the heels for this movement. I'm just going to put it back down, keeping it straight back the entire time. Now the side will give you a much better view of the mechanics involved in the deadlift. Basically, you're going to get the bar nice and close to your shins, grip with your hand, keep your hips low, pull with your heels, and go back down. Again, see how my back is completely straight, I'm not rounding my back, coming up, standing all the way up, bringing the bar down and keeping my back straight on both the upward and downward portion. Now here's an example, some things to watch for when you're critiquing someone else. Now we see this individual going down. Good form, but his back is a little round. It's not completely straight, and also his knees aren't being pushed back, so the bar actually has to go out. The bar should keep a straight path, and if you see, he has to move it out to get it around his knees. Normally in the deadlift, your goal is to keep a straight bar path, just like the squat. So again, just watch for that. Lead with your hips so that your knees get out of the way, and keep your back from rounding. So let's talk about grip, gripping the bar. Basically, obviously you want to make sure that your grip is even so you're not pulling harder on one side. And the first grip is the dual overhand grip. So I'm going to grip the bar with my knuckles facing away. And then one of the more preferred methods for the deadlift, especially when going heavy, is the alternating grip. One of my knuckles is going to be away, one of my palms is going to be away. So two different grips, and this actually helps you lift more weight. Now, one technique you can utilize to have a much more secure grip over the bar is called hook gripping the bar. This can be used in both alternating and the dual overhand grip. Here I'm going to show you from this camera angle. I'm wrapping my thumb around the bar, and then I'm wrapping as many fingers as I can around that thumb. And what this does is creates a clamp around the bar. So I'm gripping my fingers around my thumb, and it creates a very strong grip against the bar. So finally, we're going to go on to the overhead press, an upper body movement. And I actually think it's important to become proficient in this exercise before you move on to the bench press. This should be your introduction to pressing movements. And I'm pushing the bar up, my head's going through. When I bring it down, my elbows are tucked into my lats, pushing up through. Tuck my elbows into my lats, straight bar path, push my head through. And you'll get a better idea of how to do this when I show you the side view. So here from the side, you can see how my head goes through and how the bar maintains a very straight path. So I'm going to walk back again, keeping the weight in my heels, keeping my elbows tucked, accelerate that bar up, and push my head through at the end. So my head goes back, and as I push your head through. One thing you can think of, open a window. If you're opening the window, you're putting your head through. Just open the window, put your head through. Bring the bar back down, straight bar path, head through. The reason this is done is this is the most natural position for your shoulders to be at the top of the movement. If the bar is out in front of you, that's actually a very compromising position for your shoulder, your rotator cuff, your AC joint. Let's talk about hand placement very quickly. As you can see, the hand placement for the overhead press is very similar to that of the front squat, about shoulder width, gives you a little more help from the triceps. What you want to avoid doing is going too wide, and I'll show you. If you go out here, I'm going to unrack in a wider grip. Now my elbows don't have any platform like my lats to sink into, they're out, and it's also a more compromising position for the shoulder.